The Bible says to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Then it also says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. This is Matthew 22:37 through 40. And I've always found that interesting is that you're supposed to love God with all of you. It means you're not supposed to place anything above God. And I know that's hard for some of us to think about because we have our children, we have our spouses, we have family members, we have all these other things that we place over God, and we love them more than God. And we say, how can I love my child? How can I love anything more than my child? And we have to understand that in order to love God above all things, you have to recognize the fact that you would have none of these things if it had not been for God. I wouldn't have my wife if I hadn't prayed for her. We wouldn't have the kids that we have if I hadn't prayed for the wife that I had that God blessed me with. So we don't have any of these things without loving God. But the second is equally as important, to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, we'd say, okay, I'm supposed to love my neighbor. Who is my neighbor? It's anybody in close proximity to you. That means all people around you. That's your neighbor. You're supposed to love them. But we forget that it says that we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. Take inventory of yourself. Do you love yourself? That's a hard question sometimes. But do you love yourself? I love me. Like, look at me. I'm handsome. I mean, what's not to love about me? And I'm supposed to love you as I love me. Now, as much as I love me, know that I love you just as much. But take inventory of yourself. How are you loving yourself? And you say, well, Pastor, how do I know how I'm loving myself? Well, how are you treating yourself? How are you treating your body? What are you putting into your body? Could be a double entendre. But how are you loving yourself? Are you drinking yourself to death? Are you eating yourself to death? Are you smoking yourself to death? Are you working yourself to death? How are you loving you?